Clearly, we are a large consumer of natural resources, and our communities need to understand that when we consume those resources, we're doing so in an environmentally sound and sustainable manner.
Water is essential for life, but it's also essential for steel manufacturing. For water monitoring, the company monitors thousands and thousands of parameters on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, and we report those parameters to the government.
One of the goals of the Clean Water Act was the concept of zero discharge. And throughout the years, very few industries have been able to meet that goal. But at Indiana Harbor, at our number 3 steel shop, 99% of the time, we have zero discharge of processed water from this system.
So it's a lot of work, but we've been very successful. We're going to comply with our discharge permits. We're going to have environmental excellence. But once we achieve that, then we can move on to other projects that benefit the waterways. 20 years ago, you would see nobody on the waterway, but things have changed. The environment has gotten cleaner. The uses of the waterway have come back. I mean, we have boaters now on the waterway, rowing up and down, people fishing, people swimming.
We are fortunate to have ArcelorMittal at the end of our shipping channel because they have been one of the finest, most supportive partners in restoring this part of the river, which many people thought would be totally impossible.
Our operations range from mining to steelmaking, so we cover the full spectrum of regulations relative to land management.
What ArcelorMittal has done is not only to reach that level of complete compliance with the environmental regulations, but also to go above and beyond and add voluntary efforts. ArcelorMittal has set the stage for environmental change in a very positive way.
This used to be a repository for old equipment, junk, refractory, just stuff. We spent a lot of money getting the stuff cleaned up. Once we did that, and you have a canvas here to go do something with.
What we have are the first plans to colonize dunes, and eventually we hope that this area will become a stopover for many migratory birds.
Steel is the most recycled product in the world. Not only do we recycle steel at ArcelorMittal, we recycle products in the plants, such as water and byproducts that are made during the steelmaking process. Slag is used in roadways, and we recycle our gas to put it back into our boilers to use as fuel, and we recycle some of the tar products into roadway sealants, so that as a whole, our environmental footprint is reduced and the byproducts we create can be put to beneficial use.
When I was a child, my parents used to tell me stories of my grandmother hanging washed clothes inside the house rather than outside, because if you hung them outside, they would get dirty. We've progressed so far from those days.
The recent project was to capture the majority of the remainder of the blast furnace gas that was being generated. Now we're able to generate steam, which is used to generate power. That's certainly great from a financial standpoint because we're reducing our purchased power. But from an environmental standpoint, we're reducing our carbon footprint, and we're also indirectly reducing all the associated emissions that come from power generated from coal. So it's a great example of how a project that is good for the environment is also good for the bottom line.
The steel business is an energy-intensive business, and for it to be sustainable, energy reduction is key. The major amount of energy is reduced on big projects, but individual involvement by employees is also key. This is where the small improvements are made day by day. It may be from turning a motor off, to turning a pump off, to turning a light off. These are key because many of these small projects end up being big savings at the end of the day.
In each of our plants, we have environmental professionals. They help advance the environmental programs. They help drive the continuous improvement. But the people on the shop floor, the people that have their hands on the buttons and their hands on the switches and controls and make the decisions, they are the most critical component of our environmental management system. And at ArcelorMittal, we do have that. We have that advantage over our competitors. We have great people, great personnel that have highly trained. Every employee is critical to being successful in this endeavor. I look at the future as being very bright for us.